Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica on the 27th of September, Sunday, in the year 2020. And it is already the end of the month. Several days left, and we will be in the month of October. I cannot believe it. So as we go into this week, we have a lot going on, and we are going to have some big shifts this week, quite literally. So let's get started. The first one is Saturn. Saturn, the planet of duty, responsibility, patriarchy, hard work, and manifesting what you want and need once you do the hard work. This is going direct. Saturn is shifting direction, moving direct over the time period of 1:12 a.m. Tuesday morning. And that is actually going to be 11:12 my time because it's 1:12 a.m. Eastern time. And Saturn, as it moves forward, is going to be leaving its own sign. So Saturn, when planets as slow as Saturn move forward, they don't just turn around and start moving. They crawl to a stop. They turn around slowly. They gently start to push forward. And then Saturn, you won't feel it immediately so much until like maybe a few days, a week, but you'll feel that station going direct. You'll feel that wobble. You'll feel that there's been a shift. And this is a very, very, very important shift because it's in its own sign and it's getting ready to leave its own sign and won't come back again for nearly 3 decades. So this is so very important. And when Saturn leaves its own sign, it's going to finish up all the work it started back in 2017, at the very end of 2017, when it started moving into its own sign. Now, because this is, its own sign, it has a lot to say. So it's about, the patriarchy and the responsibilities and the duty and the hard work and all, yes. But it's also like, okay, here's where we've been. Here's where we're going. And these are the last things, the last chores on my list that I have to deal with before I go forward and leave, and I move out of Capricorn. Now, back in March, when the COVID exploded, back in March is the last time Saturn was in this area of its own sign, in this area of the zodiac. So these last few degrees of Capricorn is where Saturn is visiting. And so it may give us some COVID reruns, because we are experiencing Saturn all over again. And as it moves into Aquarius, which it won't do till December, it's going to shift the dynamic. Because, see, the last time, Saturn, as we used to say, Saturn thinks it's in Aquarius, but it's really still in Capricorn. So it started to touch Aquarius, but the real movement is when it gets into Aquarius and it's done with Capricorn. So it wasn't finished yet. It was giving us a taster. So this is a different energy. And the good news about this is that we're going to start to break up the COVID cluster that's in Capricorn of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. Now, if you recall, on the 12th of September, a few weeks ago, Jupiter went direct, and it too is getting ready to leave Capricorn. So that means 2 of the 3 planets that have been in Capricorn giving us these experiences, these archetypal experiences of the year that we've had and how complicated it's been, and for some people, how dark it's been. They are getting ready to go move on. And this is going to be a huge relief to everyone. Now, it's not going to be for a few months. And Jupiter still has to meet up with Pluto one more time. So we're going to get more into that as the weeks go by, because that's not going to happen till November. And that's actually going to happen at the same time that Mars goes direct. But Tuesday, when Saturn goes direct, Mars, which is, going backwards since the 9th of September, is going to square Saturn again, 5:49 p.m. Eastern Time. So this is really important. Why? Okay, now you'll recall that Mars is in Aries. Mars is in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, its own sign. It likes to be in Aries, but it's retrograde there. So when it moved through Aries, it made contact in a challenging way to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And so because it's done that, back in August, we can have some rerun experiences of what it feels like to have those things happen again. Now, this is chapter 2. That was chapter 1. I think August was particularly tense and complicated and confusing and difficult. And I think for a lot of people, I feel like September, even though Mars has been retrograde, I think September feels a lot more clear. And I think it's because Jupiter's gone direct and Saturn is going direct. And now we know that, like, sort of what the playing field is. And we've been there through August. Now, as Mars has traveled backwards, it's going to hit Saturn again. So the order in which it went in August was it hit Jupiter first, it hit Pluto second, it hit Saturn at the end of August. So those last few days of August, really just about a month ago, Mars squared Saturn. Now it's going to come back and square Saturn again, and in reverse order, it will square Pluto on the 4th of October, and then it's going to get involved with Jupiter, but that's going to be, into October. We're not worrying about that right now. We're just talking about Saturn. Saturn is going to give us this new view because, see, Saturn's slowing down, and it's moving very, very like tiptoe, one step at a time. And Mars is coming in, and it's slow because it's retrograde, but it's like this long process of the square because the Saturn and Mars are really in this dance with each other. And it's like a slow tango, There's this, Saturn is just going to stop, and Mars is going to square it. So it's not like they're going to pass like two ships in the night, boom, there's going to be a square, and we're moving on. Saturn's just sitting there. So Mars is going to really needle it. And so I expect that there's going to be a feeling of relief as Saturn goes forward, and then also a little bit of sticky energy as, Mars squares it. So look at Tuesday as maybe there's going to be some challenges, and we've got to roll up our sleeves and we've got to get through it. Okay. And Tuesdays, that's the big day of the week because of Saturn changing direction. It's so important when a planet is changing direction like this, like a slower moving planet, and getting ready to leave a sign. So Jupiter does this every year. Jupiter does a sign a year. Saturn does it every 3 years. Because Saturn is so much about duty and responsibility and sometimes restriction, and God knows what has been the theme of the year, restrictions, right? You can't go out on certain days. You can't go here. You can't go there. This is shut down. Rules, restrictions, it's all been about restriction. You can't drive in Costa Rica. You can't drive on certain days. You can drive your car on other days. You can't drive if your license plate is odd on one weekend day, and if it's even on the other weekend day. And keeping up with the restrictions, and the restrictions are constantly changing. Well, now we're moving out of the time of restriction. Yay! But you might feel a little bit of a tweak of restrictions coming up this week. So just be aware of that. Saturn is going to leave. And so here's the thing that I have noticed about Saturn over all these years that I've studied astrology, all these decades I've studied astrology. When Saturn gets ready to leave a sign, it feels arduous. It feels like it's a never-ending process. It feels like we are going to be in this forever. And it's like, when is it going to get better? When is it going to get easier? When is it just going to let up already? I've had enough. And one of the things that I've been talking about on Instagram in the last week is this feeling of Groundhog Day, or this feeling of yesterday feels like today, feels like tomorrow, feels like the next day, feels like 3 days before that. Every day feels the same. And that's a lot to do with Mars retrograde, but a lot to do with Saturn slowing down. And so Saturn slows down, turns around, and starts to leave its sign, and it crawls through the end of its sign over the next 2.5 months, because it won't get out of Capricorn until mid-December. Watch how fast that happens, though. And really, so we've got October to get through. We have November to get through. We have, part of December to get to before Saturn just says, see ya, and is done. And when it does that, it's like, whoosh, wow, that's a breath of fresh air. Wow, okay, now we're on to something new, because it really is leaving Capricorn. It fooled us into thinking it was leaving Capricorn back in, the earlier part of the year, like March through July or June, the end of June, because it really went back into Capricorn July 1st. But it's going to be, you're going to already start to feel it. Once Saturn gets moving in these next weeks, we are already, it's sort of this duality of, oh my God, will it ever get here? And, meaning Saturn getting the hell out of Capricorn. Or it's going to be like, whoosh, wow, I can feel the Aquarius already. And I had an experience last week, I guess it was Tuesday night, where I went into the garden here, and actually first on the patio and then into the garden. I saw Saturn and Jupiter in the sky together. And, they've been close by each other over and over again all year. But this was, it's rainy season here, so it doesn't get clear at night. There's often cloudy. And this was, it was right outside my patio, right, clear as day, well, clear as night. And this big bright star was there. And then Saturn is really nearby. It was a lighter star, like it just looked like two stars. One was bright, one was a little dimmer, but it was really Saturn and Jupiter, because I pulled out my app and I looked. And it was the most amazing thing to know, because for the first time I felt that energy shifting. I felt the Aquarius. And nothing specific. I just knew, okay, they're coming together, and they're just going to start getting closer and closer to one another until we see them really close to each other in the sky. And, this is significant. This only happens once every 20 years, Saturn and Jupiter getting together. So we're going to start seeing them. If you look up at the night sky and it's clear and you see a very bright star, that's Jupiter, and Saturn is close by. And they are going to give us a really incredible view over these next few months. So stay tuned and look for that. And tune into it when you see it. Notice how you feel. Feel what you do feel. Connect to it. And, talking about feeling, so this feeling of it being Groundhog Day, this feeling of the same treadmill over and over and over again, I realized I had this epiphany. It feels like nowhere. It feels like nowhere, but it doesn't have to. And that feeling of nowhere feels so big that we don't pay attention to what happens if we say, okay, I'm going deeper than this feeling of nowhere. And essentially what you have to do is you have to get deeper. So you got to go deeper in your heart. You've got to get deeper in your life. You got to feel really, really a lot. You've got to go in and feel the feelings, because I think that this no man's land treadmill over and over again rerun feeling is just the surface. And it's only, it just feels arduous and exhausting and tiring. And it's just, we're just tired. And we are tired. Like really, literally, people are tired of hearing the same story in the news. They're tired of hearing about what's happened, how things have changed, et cetera, et cetera. We're tired of it. And so what you've got to go do is get deeper into your feelings and into your heart. Now, I'm always saying that, right? But this is something where I think this is the way out. This is the way through. This is the tunnel. This is the navigation. We have to get down and dirty in our feelings, and then we're going to realize what's underneath this surface of rerun, and further get serious and commit to something very profound. Now, that could be anything, depending on where those things fall in your chart. But when you start to look at where your emotions have been in these last days, what is it that you're tired of? And could you possibly avoid, like, have you been avoiding something? So there might be something you're avoiding, and there might be something that you are, experiencing that is not, exciting anymore, or something feels arduous or unexciting, and you need some fresh energy. And that's why it's like, to get up from the couch is hard, to get up out of bed is hard, to move forward and get your exercise in for the day. Whew, that's hard too. So don't worry, it's only Saturn, and it's going to change. It's going to change, but it will change faster and more deeply if you get in with your feelings and your emotions and your heart, and see what it is that, what it is really is, you've reached a level of awareness with something, and you have to grow to the next deep level of whatever that topic is in your life. It could be about a relationship. It could be about your career. It could be about your work. It could be about all those things. And it's like, okay, I got to do something different here. I'm just so bored with everything. I look around and everything is kind of gray. And that's very Saturnine. What you have to do is say, okay, where do I have to take a deeper step in? Maybe you have to commit to something really profound in your career. Maybe you're being asked to do something and it's the next obvious step. Maybe there's something that you don't believe in because Saturn is giving you a hard time about believing in anything right now and having faith in anything. And as I've said before on this podcast, Jupiter and Saturn together, Saturn saying, what's the use? Saturn says, don't believe in that. What are you believing in that nonsense for? But Jupiter says, I have to believe in it. If you don't believe in something, you've got to believe something. You've got to believe the sun is going to come up tomorrow. So I had that epiphany last night. I realized if we go in and we get deeper and we get more serious and we say committed, we say yes and we're committed to something, guess what? You wake up in the morning and a gardenia has bloomed in your garden. And that's what happened to me today. I realized I got in deep last night. I said, okay, this is it. This is what I have to do. I have to stop looking at the brick wall and break through the brick wall. And we all have to do this right now. And then I got up this morning and there was this gorgeous gardenia on my plant in my garden that I knew they were coming, but I didn't know when. And, flowers, they're going to bloom or they're not. And it was just incredible to see this beautiful, fragrant, white flower in my garden this morning. So I was so happy and so overjoyed. And I knew that was a synchronicity. I knew that was a sign. So, yes, get deeper with your feelings. Get deeper into whatever it is that's, making you bored or listless or tired, and go deeper with it and get to the bottom of it. And you are really going to find out how to navigate out of this. So that's the first part of the week. The second part of the week, Thursday, we have a full moon, and it is in Aries. So the full moon is joining Mars in Aries, and Mars rules Aries. So that means the sun is in Libra, as we know, and the moon is opposite, and it's in Aries. So we have this nice full moon, and it's, not really like the moon and Mars aren't going to really connect until Friday, very late, 11:57 p.m. Eastern time. So when you see that, full moon, you know that it's getting revved up to touch Mars. It's actually going to occult Mars, which means it's putting a veil over Mars's energy. And when we experience that full moon, we are going to probably feel a little jazzed, but it's in cardinal signs, which is going to, the moon is going to come off being full. And then, of course, square Jupiter, square Saturn, square Pluto, all that time that as it gets through the sign of Aries. So, it's going to do its every week. There's a moon in a cardinal sign. So it touches of, each of those planets. So it will be really moving through that sort of hot zone in Aries, and so it's going to kind of get lit up. So I expect, things to be very hot at the end of the week, Thursday and Friday. Now, last Friday, the moon hit everything, like almost every planet in the sky. And like I was saying, it was like a pinball machine. The moon is the silver ball that goes through the pinball machine, and it hits all those little spots, those little things that light up and ding. And the moon just kept going ding, ding, ding all day. And so when it does that, people say to me, "What happened yesterday? What was that? What's going on? What's happening today? Why am I feeling like this today? Why is today crazy?" And, I think that one of the things that it's going to do every week is it's gonna play this pinball game. So this week we've got a full moon coming up, and then it's gonna play pinball. So, just be aware of that, and just be aware of your energy and use it wisely. And when the moon is in Aries and it's full, don't use your temper. Try to reason with it in the Libra sense. Libra likes to be reasonable and polite, and don't get crazy. It really is something that we have to be mindful of. Planets are changing signs. Today, Mercury went into Scorpio. Went into Scorpio. So, we get a little more sarcastic. We start thinking more deeply. We get more intense with our thoughts. Our conversations get heated and deep and interesting and subtle and maybe sexy. So that's one of the things that you want to be paying attention to is the moon and Mercury in Scorpio. Mercury is going to retrograde on the 13th of October. So we're not there yet. We got a few weeks. But I'm just letting you know that it's going to retrograde in Scorpio. So it's just keep moving right now. Just keep moving. It will go back into Libra, but briefly. So we are, and it's going to go direct on election day. So let's not even get there yet. Let's just say Mercury's in Scorpio, and use your thoughts powerfully. Use your thoughts to change your brain and to get what you want. If you focus your attention on something, that's where your energy goes. So keep using your energy in a constructive way and your thoughts in a constructive way, and you'll gain constructive things. So that's one thing that's happening. The other thing is that Venus is going to change signs on Friday, October 2nd, and she's going into Virgo. Now, this is going to be right after the full moon, so she'll be at the end of Leo, and she's been having a good time in Leo, and she's being creative, and she's being smart, and she's being, delicious in Leo. But she's going into Virgo, where she's not as fiery. And it's not her favorite sign because she really does love Pisces, which is the opposite sign of Virgo. So when Venus moves into Virgo, we get more practical, we get more efficient, we get maybe a little more worrisome, we get a little more critical. Venus and Leo this week, for the remainder of the week until Friday, it is a very glamorous place for Venus to be. She likes that. She's out buying new lipstick. She's getting her hair done. She's buying new clothes. She's going to now watch her purse strings, and she's going to be practical and buy, the right things to keep the house in order and get things moving in up north. It's going to be autumn, so moving things into this autumn direction, like preparing for the autumn cleaning and clearing out all the summer things and putting the wardrobe away and changing clothes and stuff like that up north. I don't do that anymore because it's always the same here. But Venus in Virgo does do things like, she balances the checkbook, and she cuts out the coupons, and she's keeping things organized. So this is actually a very positive use of the energy, even though it's not terribly sexy. It's not Venus's favorite place. Venus is in a place of service when she is in Virgo. She is more self-sacrificing. She's going to go volunteer. She's going to, bring soup to the needy. She's going to find charities to support. She's really very, charitable, and she is helpful. So, but Mercury rules Virgo, and Mercury is in Scorpio. So it's, there's a little bit of that, okay, whatever's going on in Virgo nods to Mercury. It disposes of to Mercury. And so Mercury's in Scorpio. So she may do things very intensely. And so while, we may have a time of, oh, good, I'm going to clean out the closets, it's going to be with great gusto and intensity. In the meantime, Pluto is getting ready to turn direct. So, wow, powerful, 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 powerful energy, because Pluto's been retrograde since April. And here's the thing. Remember, it's been the COVID clusters of Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, all in Capricorn. And within 1 month, between the 12th of September to the 4th of October, which is less than a month, the three of them are going direct. So we should start to experience something coming forward. Either we're going to start, having some resolutions of these issues that have happened all year. We're going to start seeing the wrapping up of things, some changes in the year. And I expect, Pluto going forward, Pluto does this every year, goes forward from, direct motion from retrograde. And there's usually like the earth moves. And when we are dealing with a Pluto station, so now we got a Saturn station at the same time, we've got a Pluto station. So Saturn's going to be direct, and Pluto is slowing down to a crawl, and Pluto is going to move forward. Pluto goes much deeper than Saturn. Pluto goes real deep, way inside the core of the earth, the core of our being, the core of our spirit. And as Pluto moves forward next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be seeing a real profound shift. I'm very interested to watch the news, watch what happens as Saturn moves forward, as Pluto moves forward, as we see things go forward, and this year starts to maybe make sense on some level, or maybe it starts to give us some answers, or maybe we are sorting things out as we start to move forward with these planets. Maybe we're just going to be sorting things out, and then we're going to see some real movement like in a month or so. We have to be optimistic about all of this. Usually when Pluto goes direct, something comes, like the manhole cover gets opened and something comes out. So we may find out some truths about this situation that we didn't know before. We may get information we didn't have before. This is collective energy, Pluto, going forward. Collective energy as we start to unravel the knots of the year 2020. And my wish and my hope for the planet and for everyone is that we start to get some real answers, and that we're not in this unknown anymore. Because, for a long time, we have all been talking about the unknown. We still don't have answers. We still don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. We don't know how the theater is going to manage. We don't know how the world is going to manage, how travel is going to manage, how tourism is going to manage. We don't know what it's going to be like anymore. So, there's got to be some resolution here. This isn't just going to hang in the air forever and ever and ever. And those planets are not coming back Saturn is not coming back to Pluto, and Saturn and Pluto are what really brought this mega situation, global pandemic forward. And as Pluto goes direct next Sunday, and we'll be talking again next Sunday, we're going to see some shifts and changes, and you'll see it in the news. People leaving the planet, as we've already seen, shifts and changes in the collective mind, and a different perspective and a different outlook. And that is my hope, that it's going to be a better one for all of us. So be hopeful, be optimistic, dig into your feelings, and get ready for things to start shifting. And dig into your feelings, and don't let each day feel the same. It might feel a little stagnant right now, but we have the power within ourselves to change things and move stuff in our own lives. We have the power, especially now with Mercury and Scorpio. You can focus in really intensely on how to shift your energy, change your mind, and your life starts to change. Look at perspective differently, see it differently. Okay, the moon is in Aquarius right now. It's going to go void at 3:18 a.m. tomorrow morning, Eastern Time, and all morning void until 11:34 a.m. Eastern Time. So then it goes into Pisces, and that's where it is Tuesday when we have all that action. And really a long void on Wednesday. It's going to be void in Pisces from 1:29 p.m. till 10:47 p.m. when it goes into Aries, and it gets ready to be full on Thursday. So that means Wednesday, good day to do the laundry and your household chores and make those phone calls and, sort things out. Thursday is the full moon. Hurrah! Full moon coming, Aries. Punch of energy. Terrific. And then Friday, again, the moon is in Aries. It's going to be void most of Saturday morning, the 3rd, 1:47 a.m. It goes void in Aries, and then it goes into Taurus at 11:12 a.m. when, Saturday morning in Eastern Time. And then it's going to be in Taurus on Sunday. So we are looking at a week really of the moon in Pisces, the moon in Aries, the moon in Taurus. So the long void is Wednesday, and that's the day to kind of get those extra chores done and those business as usual things done. So, and that's about it for the week. So Tuesday's a big day. Next Sunday's a big day. We've got a full moon this week. It's always a chock full of astrology week here on the Golden Astrologer. I invite you to look at my Instagram, which is the Golden Astrologer. I invite you to look at my website, which is also thegoldenastrologer.com. And you can book a session with me online. And when you do engage and book a session and all, you can always ask me questions if you need to. And please, by all means, listen to this podcast. Come back and hear us again. It's available where all podcasts are distributed. I'm also on Twitter at DevAstrology. And I have a YouTube channel, The Golden Astrologer. Thank you so much for listening. Gratitude to each and every one of you. Move forward with Saturn, move forward with Pluto, and have gratefulness for the beautiful things in your life. Thank you for listening. See you next week.